Hey everyone, this is the first internet dad video that I'm going to attempt to make. It's quarantine summer. We're right in the middle of quarantine summer. This video is for all the parents out there with kids with their own iCloud accounts or people that are looking to get Apple devices for their kids, and whether they have an iCloud account set up or not. This will help you link it as a family account if you need to, or create a new child account that can be managed by your parental control account. So our kids are having virtual playdates all the time now, right? It could be through FaceTime, Messenger Kids, a bunch of different online games. But needless to say, with the quarantine in full effect, instead of going over to a friend's house for a sleepover or going swimming in somebody's pool, all of these interactions are moving online right now. So we need to be vigilant and really understand what our kids are doing in a way that's going to be unobtrusive and fair to them, but also lets us keep them safe as parents. So again, for the same reason why we wouldn't have strangers over to our house to play that we don't know, or we wouldn't send our kids over to some stranger's house, right? We need to be aware of at least what apps they're downloading and what online capabilities those apps have. This becomes very prevalent for tweens and young teenagers that are first getting introduced to social media, right? We need to know if these social media accounts are being created. And in this case, this video was sparked by a conversation that I was having with my child when they asked why they have to have my permission to install applications on their devices, whether it's their iPad or their phone. And in this case, I was like, doesn't everybody have to have permissions? And she was telling me that a lot of her friends don't. So I'm making this video for the parents of people that maybe don't know how easy this stuff is to set up. It's really not very hard. I'm going to walk through it on my phone that I just got basically wiped it, set it up new, so nothing's really set up yet. I'll walk through each of the steps. And like I said, this will work either for people with existing iCloud accounts, for their kids, so you can make that kid's iCloud account a child account of your parent account, or we'll start off right now basically setting a child account up through family sharing. So I'm in the settings app on the phone, right? And you don't have to go very far to find the family sharing options, right? So click here to set up family sharing. I'll click the learn more just so we can look at stuff. So what's interesting is that family sharing allows you to do a whole bunch of stuff. You can share iCloud storage, you can manage subscriptions, you can do things like track locations, find lost devices, authorize new devices. All of this is very useful, but the focus on this is really app security. So what does the family sharing let us do for app security, right? So jump down here to where it says making purchases, right? So making purchases is easy, and so is setting limits. With purchase sharing, all new App Store, music, TV, and book purchases made by your family are billed to the organizer's account. Handy for keeping track of who's paying for all of this stuff. But the organizer can turn on Ask to Buy for children in the family, right? And so what that means, this applies to both purchases and free downloads. They will simply go to if they're looking at something in the App Store, or they want to download a movie, it's going to ask if that it's okay for the child to install that. Again, not very obtrusive. It's not like you're snooping on their phones. You're really just keeping an eye and making sure that if they're adding or deleting something to the device, that you're at least in the loop that it's happening, right? And you don't even have to be in the room. They could be, who knows, they could, you could be traveling on a business trip, probably not happening right now in the quarantine summer, but maybe they're upstairs and you're downstairs. You could just get a notice and you can approve it right on your phone whenever they ask, right? And so we'll get right into actually. Okay, sorry for the interruption. We're going to keep going with getting this set up. So fastest way to get the family sharing turned on is actually going to be to go through screen time. So we'll go through this the first time. So again here, this is where you're going to have the option of either adding a child account or creating a new child account. We're going to walk through both, but for adding a child account, you're simply going to have the family member on your administrative device log in with their Apple ID and password. Presumably you already know this for your kid or kids, so that's probably the fastest way to get going. If they've been sharing your Apple ID though, right, you definitely want to go. So now family sharing is turned on, right? So the menu changed a little bit. So if I go to add a family member now, I get a few different options. So I'm either going to get a chance to invite them via iMessage. So if they're my contact, I can send it to them normally way you would through iMessage. You can invite in person, which is that username and password, that iCloud username and password that we just sent. Or if your kid does not have a Apple ID, you can create it right here on the phone. So we're going to go ahead and do that real quick just for simplicity's sake, so the people that haven't done this before can see what it is. So I'm just going to put in a random birth date for somebody that's kid age. So again, this is the parent's privacy disclosure. This is different than the one that you signed. It's going to ask you for your security code here. Okay, so now here we are. Obviously I put in the CVV, but deleting that from the Final Cut. So we're going to put in the kid's name, so Internet Kid, for demonstration purposes, of course. All right, so let's go Internet Kid 1000 at iCloud.com. Once you create it, you can't change it again, so let's try it. Okay, now you're going to be prompted to go through and pick 3 questions that both of you can agree on, right? Presumably, this is going to be stuff that you want your kid to do, right? So, nice dog's name. Maybe probably didn't have they didn't go to high school yet, so maybe we can do Goodnight Moon. Everybody likes that. Right? First beach, Miami Beach, of course. So this is going to be the important part. So we're going to require ask to buy. So now if the kid with this iTunes account is trying to log in, they're going to get asked to buy with prior approval for you anything that they get through iTunes, Apple Books, or the App Store. Basically anything that's coming through the internet. Obviously, you're going to be responsible for all the charges. That's why it's linked to your payment account. But really, this is just about knowing what everything is getting installed. Again, more terms and conditions. Can't really disagree with any of these terms and conditions anyway, but you can send them to yourselves by email. Now, there you go. So a new family member was added to my family. So now we can do a couple of things. So we can do screen time for internet. So you can set downtime, how early or late you want them to be able to go online. So just set that. And now we can also say that we want to add categories for social networking and games, right? And then we want to set a time limit, like what's a reasonable amount of time per day. We want to go with, well, it's the summer, right? So let's go something reasonable. But once you've set this limit, your kids will actually figure out how to self-police and manage that, right? You can also restrict content right through the App Store. So you can do things like disable social media, other things like that. This is going to be a passcode that the parent needs to know in order to override it. So now if you got multiple kids, you can go through and add them. But for this example, this is all who we have, right? So we want to turn purchase sharing on if you'd like. Okay, not now, but we have screen time on. We can also turn location sharing on, right? And so this is going to allow different people in the family to be able to track their different devices. Obviously, if you're doing this with your kids, let them know that this is happening so you can keep an eye on them. But you can also set this up in a way that they can't disable it. I mean, again, the idea is that you can use this to set boundaries, not without having to like get on their phone and snoop all the time. You'll know, what's happening before anything goes wrong. If you haven't already gone through your device, your kids' devices before you did this, though, again, I'd recommend going through their device with them. Remove all of the apps and games and other things that you don't agree with together, and then take it from there. Moving forward, all the proper authorizations will be in place. It'll make it easier for next time. If there's any questions, just leave them in the comments section of the video. I'll try to respond in kind. If there's another video that needs to get made because of some clarification, I'm happy to go and make that as well. But please, everybody, go, make sure you're taking advantage of this feature. It's really easy, really simple to use once it's in effect. So good luck. Thanks.